YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, reacting to more of NFL Network's top 100 players list. We did one video already, breaking down players 100 down to 81. Now this video is for 80 down to 61. We're going to keep going on throughout the whole list. Not only do I react to these player rankings, but I also give my ranking, and we get to compare. We did a live stream here at the Goat House showing my rankings based off last season. It was right when the season ended, so it's pretty cool to compare, see if they're similar, see if they're way off. I had a few of each in the last video, so if you haven't seen that, go check it out. But we're going to keep going through these. Right before we get started with this one, subscriber goal is at 40K. Please subscribe to our channel. It'll be worth it for you if you like daily sports content, and if you're a big NFL fan, we have full coverage in season. Cannot wait for it to start. We got score predictions, straight up picks with multiple guys in the show, recaps each week, power rankings, and more. So hopefully you can join us for that. Please subscribe. Click that like button. We much appreciate it. Check out our Twitter. There it is in the top right. Link in the description as well. And that live stream where I count down my top 100 a while back, that is in the description as well for that live stream. Number 80 was Mark Ingram. And as you can see on the right there, I did not have him ranked in mine. A very solid running back, very solid career. He's going to be pretty productive for the Ravens still. To me, I don't think he belonged in the top 100. He kind of split with Kamara. And I thought Kamara really deserved more of the load. But not to knock his game. Good signing as well by the Ravens, too. I didn't really think about ranking him, honestly, so it's not like it was a close one. So, I mean, it's not super crazy that he's number 80 or anything, but, I don't think, in my opinion, I didn't really consider it. So, 79 was Geno Atkins. I had him at 64. And it's surprising that he, as you can see on the NFL Network graphic there on the left, his last year ranking was 63. I thought he should have been higher if you're basing it off 2 years ago. So it doesn't look like too much of a drop, but I thought he played much better 2 years ago. So if I would have made a list 2 years ago, which I didn't, but you would have saw a little bit of a drop too, but still a very, more than that, a top tier defensive tackle. And I got him at 64. So not much of a difference there from their ranking to my ranking based off last year's season. But nothing wild going on there. Number 78, which was a little bit of a surprise here, was Kirk Cousins, and causing a controversy on Twitter there. Number 78 for NFL Network, and not ranked for me. I didn't go quarterback crazy. I didn't want to give extra value to that position like most people do, which I think this list does. But I don't know if it's too crazy because it's the players' vote, and then you go back and look at the season. And we did live streams during the year. Every week, we updated the top MVP candidates. And Kirk Cousins was in there for a while. Then all of a sudden, it started going downhill. Maybe you want to blame it more on the offensive line, the play calling. There's a lot of factors, I guess, first year. So maybe that's what made it go downhill. But I think my point is, I think some of those players played against him in that first half of the year, and they really were impressed with what they saw. So I think that's why he makes his way on this list. A little surprised to see him, honestly, but then again, if he was 94 last year, I do think he was a little better last year. His play under pressure was pretty impressive too, but yeah, I didn't rank him. I didn't go quarterback crazy. I am a believer in Kirk Cousins going forward. Second year in the system, the better coaching staff now, the right play callers in there, and a better offensive line. So I'm a believer in him going forward. So I think this will be a realistic number going forward, but I didn't have him ranked based off last year's full season play. Maybe if he would have got them to the playoffs, maybe I would have snuck him in there. 77 was Taylor Lewan. I had him at 96. I do think he's one of the better tackles. Unfortunately, he's suspended for the first 4 games, if that stands. I think he's one of the better tackles in all of football. Maybe not fully consistent last year. I'm trying to split hairs. That's why he's down at 96 for me. I thought 2 years ago he was a little better. He actually moved up one spot on NFL Network's list there. But definitely was worthy of my top 100 too, so a great player there at number 96. Next up, we had Robert Woods, who I had at 89. And they had him at 76 there. Robert Woods was, it was impressive how wide open he was. Like, I just couldn't believe how wide open he was so much of the time. Is that system, is it him? I think a little bit of both. So impressive. He finds his way onto the list. Not too much of a difference there. I didn't have a whole bunch of receivers in my rankings, so he did make it in, down at 89 there. Number 75 was Gerald McCoy. And I did not have him ranked. I think in and out of games wasn't his most productive year. I didn't really. It's not one. I mean, great career, great player, still can be a great player. It's not one I really considered though. From the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. Now with the Panthers, obviously. But I didn't really consider him, unfortunately. But he comes in at 75, so I was maybe a little surprised by that one. 74 was Leighton Vander Esch. I had him at 48, so a little bit of a jump there. If I'm basing it off of last year, him being a rookie doesn't play a part of that. It's just he played that good to be number 48. If it's in general going forward, yeah, maybe 74. Maybe want to see more. But I guess you're really something I never really understood about the NFL Network's top 100 too. Is it based off this past season? Is it kind of in general? They mention a lot of things from what they did the last season, so I always take it is the last season. But yeah, a little bit of a difference there, but nothing that blows me away. Because like I said, I guess that's his general rank should be around 74. But based off last year, I did have him all the way up at 48. At 73 was Stefon Diggs, who I did not have ranked, but he was a borderline guy. Like I said, I didn't go receiver crazy. Based off last year, I don't think it's out there for a receiver to get over 1,000 yards anymore. I think we're kind of past that point. And Diggs, Diggs is, he's one for the future too. Still a young receiver. I don't know if he's even in his prime yet. So I think in general and going forward, he's well into the top 100 for me. Like I said, he was borderline. So 73 doesn't really blow me away. The other players that vote are pretty impressed with him and what he can be. So yeah, I think he's. All the receivers, I guess, that you'd rank ahead of him in terms of receiver rankings may be in their prime or towards the end of it by now, and he's not even entering yet. So that's definitely one that can keep climbing. 72, Jason KELCE, who I did not have ranked. In general, he definitely belongs in the top 100, and I think you could argue he's the best center in football. They're the Eagles center. So, me not having a ranked, yeah, he was in and out of games last year. I actually thought about retiring. He was pretty beat up, and how he was able to stick it out was pretty impressive. Another one that could have been borderline there. So I guess nothing crazy surprising there. He was at 72, but was, kind of beat up at times last year. So I don't know if he was 100% himself. So on my list, he was not ranked just based off last season. Again, if I make a top 100, just in general, just the players from what we've seen and what they can do, he definitely makes the list. That goes for quite a few of these guys that I mentioned too. 71, CJ Mosley, I had him at 29. So the former Ravens, now New York Jets middle linebacker, big jump there. So that they had him at 71. I had him at 29. So pretty surprising. He didn't do anything that's going to just make you go crazy, jump out of your seat. He played his normal game, which is a top-tier middle linebacker, a top-tier linebacker, I should say. So I thought he was deserving. I don't know if middle linebackers get enough love, to be honest. So I thought he was deserving of a rank around there. I put him at 29, obviously. So I thought they're a little low on him. I thought they were a little low on CJ Mosley here, putting him at 71. And we'll see how he does on the Jets. I don't really see him changing much. I think the same play is what we should expect, which is a high-level linebacker play. Number 70, T.Y. Hilton, and I had him at 38. So the Colts receiver much higher on my top 100 list. To me, he was just so dominant last year. In terms of numbers, I don't know if it was anything different than usual. To me, he just took over games, and not that he hasn't in the past, but he was just looked even more important than ever to that team last year, especially down the stretch, just taking over games. You take him away. You can say this, I guess, about any team and maybe their best receiver, but you take him away from that Colts team, and it's a totally different team, basing off last year. Even though Luck had a sensational season, I thought Hilton saved him quite a few times on deep balls. He really fools the receivers, I think, with his body and his eyes, too, and you could see when he does it, when the ball is just unleashed downfield, he'll come back to the ball, and the defensive back will just think he's going to keep on running. So I see that so many times for him. So I just last year, based off last year alone, I just saw a lot of dominance, and I don't want to say putting the team on his back, but if you take him away, it's a huge difference. So that's why I put him at 38. I thought important piece to his team in a dominant season for that season alone should have put him up there. So then they're a little low on him there at 70. But again, who knows what it's actually based off of? We don't really know for sure. They never really say. 69 was Matt Ryan. I had him at 78, so not much of a difference there. I didn't go quarterback crazy in my list either. You know, the ones that played outstanding last year, they were at the top, but not a lot of quarterbacks. I didn't want to overvalue the position that everyone else seems to overvalue. I kind of want to make each position even. Kind of going back to what I said about CJ Mosley, I think people kind of knocked him in the linebacker position a lot. Maybe they do with running backs as well. So I kind of made them all even as best I could. But Matt Ryan had a good season. I guess quietly good season. Not a lot of people talk about it. So I'm actually a little surprised with the 69. If I had to predict, I thought they would be lower than him than I was, honestly. But then again, maybe they value the quarterbacks more than I do. So I guess that brings us back to that and why he was there. But it's nothing surprising. Pretty close in rank. 69 for them, 78 for me. 68 was Phillip Lindsay. Look at that. 67, one off. I've been waiting for a same rank, you know, and we're one away. So I guess I win the Phillip Lindsay one. Here I have them beat by one ranking. NFL Network at 68. My ranking was 67. So nothing to argue about here. Hopefully he comes back strong because he had the injury late in the season. But what really stood out for me about Phillip Lindsay last year, you know, you expect the quickness. But quickness in hitting the hole very quickly, to me, are two different things. I've seen plenty of times quick and fast guys just can't hit the hole. So that kind of goes into vision. And to me, that's number one trait. You know, when I evaluate the running backs coming out of college too, the first thing for me is can they recognize and hit the hole? And Lindsay really stood out to me in that right away, really picked it up. So that was impressive to me. So as long as he's healthy, I think he'll come back strong. And I think we can see him even climb this list. So we will see. Number 67, it was D Ford. I actually had him at 9. So this is a huge jump. I had D Ford at 9 last year. Again, based off last year, not in general. D Ford really showed us one really good year, and it was last year. So in general, there could be some doubt. I wouldn't really rank him anywhere near 9. I think he does need to work on his run-stopping ability a little bit. And then he could shed blocks a little better, I guess only on the run plays, but not on getting after the quarterback. But why was he at 9? He had such a dominant season to me, you know, and kind of like I talked about T.Y. Hilton, the importance of him on that team in that given year played a big role for me in all of these rankings, and it played a big role here for D Ford. You take D Ford away from that Chiefs team, they were already one of the worst defenses, but they actually had a ridiculous amount of pressures, quarterback pressures, and if you take that away, you talk about the worst defense in NFL history. And D Ford consistently got that pressure. It was hard to do it against the Patriots, but nobody can do it against the Patriots. But so I had him at 9. You know, he was at the top of the NFL, towards the top in pressure. I think he led all the NFL in actual pressure. And then sacks, he was towards the top there. So very impressive season. Kind of out of nowhere, you know, he was good in college. He had some solid years, but we didn't really expect this. I just think, you know, I mean, they had another good player in Justin Houston, but he missed some games, and he wasn't really always himself. Still a very good player. But D Ford was always himself out there based off last year. And you take him away, the Chiefs don't go as far as they do. You know, they go from having one of the worst defenses to easily the worst defense, and maybe one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. And it looked like that in the Patriots game, but it was the Patriots in championship-style football. So, to me, D Ford, I think he should have been much higher. If this list is based off last year, I think he should have been much higher. So, you see the big difference there. I'm excited to see him with Bosa on the Niners. Hopefully, the Niners use him in the right way. Hopefully, he can be more consistent because, like I said, it was really the one year. Any other year, he wouldn't even come close to touching my top 1. Not even close. So, we want to see more here, but we know he's very capable of doing this. 66 was Eric Ebron of the Colts, and I had him at 47, touchdown machine, and that's, I guess, what brought him to 47. You know, he was a key piece to help turning that team around. I know Andrew Luck came back, and some of the defensive players step up. The offensive, I guess a lot went into it. Offensive line stepped up, but he was pretty dominant. You know, touchdown machine. It just seems like when they threw the ball up to him in the red zone, it was pretty hard to stop him. So I'm not going to argue with, you know, it's not too much of a difference there. What is that? Yeah, 66 to 47, so 21 difference there, or 19. I can't do math right now. I'm just too worried about talking about Ebron. So, yeah, I'm not going to argue that too much. It's really hard to rank some of these guys. It's 19, so I was right the second time. But, Yeah, it's hard to split these guys up and decide where to place them when they play different positions. So at a tight end, like how much do you value the tight end? I try to value them all equally, and that's what led to me giving him 47. But again, I'm not going to argue with the 66 there. 65 was Pierre-Paul. I did not have him ranked. He had a pretty productive season. Kind of disappears at times to me. So I didn't have him ranked. I guess I somewhat consider him because he was pretty productive. Really the only productive guy besides Levante David there for the Buccaneers. So 65, it's a pretty good rank for him, but I don't know if I really agree with it all that much. 64 was Amari Cooper. I didn't have him ranked either. Really good season, really turned around when he got the Cowboys. 100 players sounds like a lot, but really when you get down and start making this list, it's not. You want room for more. And like I said, I didn't really include a lot of receivers. It's nothing crazy if they get over 1,000 yards these days to me in a passing league. But it does mean they're very good. And I think if he put out the full season like he did, I know maybe if he was on the Cowboys the whole year, he would have. Then he probably would have made my list. But another one of those guys that was close but just didn't quite make it. In 64, I'm not going to argue that too much because, players that vote really look to what he did when he was on his right team there and when he was with the Cowboys, a playoff team. So it kind of makes sense. 63 was Jadeveon Clowney. I had him at 37, so a pretty big jump there. Another player that I thought was just dominant for his team. I think carried his team a lot, even with a pretty solid linebacker group and J.J. Watt. Some of those guys, really good players, more than good. But they kind of disappeared at times. They weren't really all themselves the whole game. Clowney was always himself, full go every game. The playoff game against the Colts, it was Clowney versus 11 guys. That's literally what I saw. That's what I saw. Watch every snap of that game. That's what I saw. Their best run stopper and going forward, the best pass rusher to me. Very instinctive player too. They need to lock him up. A very important piece. So they need to figure out how to lock him up. I thought he should have been much better ranked than 63, obviously, looking at my rank. And I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised the players didn't vote him a little higher. I think that's one that they would appreciate a little more, but being number 63 in the official top 100 list, not that even though it's official, not that it means really anything, I guess that it's a good rank still. 62, James Conner, not have him ranked. He was really feeling it. He was easily going to make the list, and he got hurt and didn't really come back too strong. But so he probably would have made the list easily if he didn't get hurt. But again, 100 players is just not enough. It's less. 100 is 100, but it almost feels like it's nothing when you get down and do it. And James Conner, or anybody, like I kind of want him, kind of with Cooper too. I wish he was on the Cowboys the whole year, played that well the whole year, then he would have made the list. So the same thing kind of factored in here, but he was amazing last year. It was really fun to watch. So he comes in at 62. It's not too surprising, not super surprising there. And then 61 was Jaylon Smith, who were very close. I had 66, and I think going forward, he's going to keep on making his way up. If we made one for this year, I'd rank him much higher and better ranked than 66. He's a do-it-all linebacker. The more and more he's staying healthy, more and more he's learning the NFL defense. He's getting better, freakish guy. So I think he'll. Even though on my list, VANDER-ESCH was actually ranked a little better based off last year in a full package there, but Jaylon Smith to me might actually be the best player on the Cowboys, so I would rank Jaylon Smith higher than VANDER-ESCH going forward here, even though VANDER-ESCH is only a rookie, so he has more potential. In general, I think Jaylon Smith's just better now, fully healthy now, learning his spot because he was able to move around in different times too in college, so very fun to watch and one of my favorite defensive players in football, so yeah, nothing to argue about there with that ranking. So we did it all. We went 80 to 61. We're going to keep going through this. After these episodes come out, maybe sometimes we'll do them after one episode comes out, after two, after three. But we'll get through them. I enjoy doing this. It's really interesting to see their rank versus my rank. Pretty cool. And I'll do my rankings based off this upcoming year, after the season, of course. But right now we're doing position by position rankings, predicting the upcoming season. So plenty of those on the channel, plenty more to come, full coverage in season. So if you can subscribe to our channel and join us for that, that'll be much appreciated. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.